We are live, and it is the 18th of December, and it's 10:33 p.m. I'm Teddy, and you are listening to Night Talk. I've got several things up on my screen, so please bear with me, but I'm just going to get through this as quickly as I can and say what I need to say. I'm calling this Let's Talk About It because I think it's time to talk about a few things. Yeah. So go ahead and grab a glass of wine. I've got my Gatorade and join me. Thank you. I see my moderators, both of you with thumbs up. The sound is good. Okay, great. Okay. I'm just looking at some things because here I did make a few notes. Just make sure I can find them when I need them. All right. So tonight, I'm going to be thinking about this broadcast as the record, the rumors, and perhaps the road ahead. Because I want to do three things tonight. I want to document what is happening now, correct the record once, and do my best to explain what I can in part to what I'm going to do next while we wait on the court. But first, let's do a reality check. All right. There is a standing court order that was given on December the 4th, requiring the defendant, Danielle Robertson, to file a written notice identifying her legal name and postal address. The stay on that obligation had been lifted, and the deadline now has passed. It was Monday, the 15th. As of tonight, there is no filing on the docket showing compliance with that order. No written notice, no requests for additional time, no explanation on the record. That is not commentary. That is the status of the docket. I am not speculating about motive, nor am I announcing consequences. I am documenting what has and has not occurred in the public record. In federal court, once a deadline passes without compliance or a request for relief, silence is no longer neutral. I've been talking about it. It becomes part of the case history. That's not drama, that's procedure, especially in the Eastern District of Michigan. Now, the second issue I need to address, and I'm going to do this, I'd like to do it once, because I'm not interested in going back and forth. There is misinformation circulating about my case, including from content creators and chat commentary and others. So let me be clear. This is not a case that is only about copyright. This is a 6-count federal case. Copyright is one of the counts, not the entire lawsuit. Okay. In addition, right now, the case involves identity disclosure, jurisdiction, and compliance with the court orders. Those issues exist independently of copyright and are reflected in the pleadings and the orders on the public docket. Another point of confusion I want to correct respectively. Respectfully. This case is not about online commentary, opinions, and personalities. Courts do not decide cases based on live streams or speculation. They decide cases based on filings, orders, and compliance. And one more clarification that matters. To my knowledge, and based on the public record, this case, my case, was the first to result in a court order directing Daniel Robertson to disclose her legal identity. That order exists on this docket. I'm not saying that to claim an outcome. I'm stating it because it explains why this case is being talked about inaccurately. An order like that doesn't come from rumors or drama. It comes from what was put in front of the court. Now, because there's been so much confusion, and because I've actually never done this before, I am going to shift how I handle this publicly while the court addresses the current non compliance as I see it. I am going to say it again. I don't know the outcome of this case. I have not said that I've won the case. I have not said to go out there and announce anything about that. I have said anything is possible. I have said that. And I welcome everyone who wants to come to the Bear Cave, that's what I call it here, and share in the discourse as long as it's respectful. Everyone knows how it is here. Okay. So I welcome that. And I do welcome a difference of opinion. However, there are certain things that are misinformation that I feel it's necessary to correct, because left uncorrected, it begins to spiral as rumors and just a lot of people aren't fully aware of this case. They haven't read the case. I have never read my complaint to the audience, but I'm going to, not tonight. We're going to take it. There's 6 counts. I'm going to do 1 count at a time in, conversation so that I can move it along and not just do a lot of, reading. Okay. So yes, I am going to begin reading through my case itself calmly over time in 6 parts. Like I said, 1 count at a time, using my actual filings and the public docket, not to argue my case, not to persuade commentators, but to ground the conversation in facts. And I'm going to be doing it for a couple of reasons. First, as I mentioned, to correct misinformation without having to engage in a back and forth. Second, to make sure the record is understood while the court does what courts do. I'm not rushing the judge. I'm not predicting outcomes. I'm respecting the process. So while we wait for the court to address again what is going on or not, I will be doing what I've done from the beginning, documenting, now grounding, and letting the record speak. That's where this belongs. So let's get started, but with the complaint. But then I just want to pause before I do. You can email me right now at unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. Because of the lateness of the hour, I'm going to try to get through this as quickly but as thoroughly as possible without it being um, drawn out where it doesn't have to. Um, Mundane, because reading something from the complaint can seem like that to others, especially this time of night. Although there's more that I could say right now. Um, Maybe I could make a comment or two or ask a question, um, because I think it's important. Let's see. I want to do this respectfully. I'll say this. I'm not comparing my case to anyone else's case because as cases have come along, what I've done, I've I actually read the complaint of the other case some time ago. Um, yeah, well, it's been a while, but I read it uh, last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it would have been maybe September. Yes, I think that's when I read it. All right. Um, so my case has been characterized. That's what I'll say. My case has been characterized that it is weak, that it is the weaker of the cases. Okay. So the only question I'd like, not an answer to, I'm not going to go through debating it right now, but respectfully, um, I'll just say ask Maggie since she's mentioned that several times. Why? Why do you specifically think that my case is weaker? Now, whether or not I think it is, I don't. But I just, since that narrative is mentioned, and it is your opinion, and you said so, I'm just curious. Yeah, I'm just curious why it's characterized in that way, and um, not for not for any back and forth, but I just I just wonder. Let me just think about this. So I came out and said that because I want to be transparent, and let me do this. Let me show you because not just you, but the audience, why and what my case is about. All right. And I'm just going to go right to the case here and I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to go over this statement of the claim. And this would be to clarify it for others who really have not heard about this case. They're guessing about it. They have no idea. Right now, many people just think it's about one thing or not. So I want to clear the record and refer to the record. Okay. So I'm going to read this. This is on page 6 of 83. Okay. Let me just, I think I should go. Wait a minute. I'm rolling it so fast that didn't slow down. Let's do this the right way. I wrote it so quickly that there it goes. Stop. Let's go back. So this case was filed last year. It was December the 23rd, 2024. It is now Sabrina Evans versus the defendants, Daniel Robertson and Jane Doe, also known as all of these aliases: Danny Robertson, Danny Montana, Truth Teller Danny, Lori Davis, Danielle Robertson, and two, Jane Doe's 1 through 10. All right. The presiding judges is the magistrate judge. Um, so we have Elizabeth Stafford and we have Judith Levy, who is the district judge. All right. That part we don't need to go through. Let's just go here so that people know. It says, write a short and plain statement of the claim. Do not make legal arguments. State as briefly as possible the facts showing that each plaintiff is entitled to the damages or other relief sought. State how each defendant was involved and what each defendant did that caused the plaintiff harm or violated the plaintiff's rights, including the dates and places of that involvement of conduct. If more than one claim is asserted, number each claim and write a short and plain statement of each claim. And this is what I've written. The nature of the case: this federal lawsuit arises from a sustained campaign by the defendant Daniel Robertson to harm the plaintiff Sabrina Evans through copyright infringement, defamation, harassment, privacy violations, and cyberbullying. Since 2022, the defendant has repeatedly violated the plaintiff's rights by unlawfully using copyrighted materials and filing fraudulent copyright claims, primarily through impersonation, to commit fraud and damage the plaintiff's YouTube channels, Unwind with Teddy and Run Tell That Too. These actions have caused significant harm to the plaintiff's reputation, emotional well being, and professional career. Plaintiffs Sabrina Evans and now Sabrina Keenan and Associates has been dropped. Bring this action against Jane Doe, also known as Danielle Robertson, Danny Robertson, Danny Montana, Truth Teller Danny, Lori Davis, and Daniel Robertson, LLC. The complaint reserves the right to amend to include additional identified or defendants identified as Jane Doe's 1 through 10. Those are placeholders. Jane Doe can be John Doe. It's placeholders. These placeholders represent individuals or entities whose identities and roles are currently unknown but believed to be involved in the alleged actions. This lawsuit seeks to hold Daniel Robertson accountable, secure compensation for damages, and obtain injunctive relief to prevent further harm. Count 1, copyright infringement. Count 2, defamation and privacy violations. Count 3, false reports and fraudulent claims. Count 4, cyberbullying and harassment. Count 5, impersonation of others to commit fraud. And count 6, conspiracy to commit fraud and cause emotional distress. I'm going to pause for a moment because we are much farther down the road. In this case, and after ECF 75 report and recommendations, and the district judge accepting the full recommendations of the magistrate. Some of these specifically, as it stands today, count 6, the conspiracy, that was dismissed. Okay. Impersonation of others to commit fraud, that too was dismissed. Okay. Counts 1, counts 2, counts 3, and counts 4 were not dismissed in full. And since then, there have been filings that we are waiting to get a response on because there has been a motion by myself that was filed recently. And I will get into that later. But it affects the count 6 that was dismissed. I'll say the count 6. All right. Primarily. And count 1. But if that gives you just a sense, it's not just copyright. Okay. Hang on. Let me look. I did. Was something. And I think, like I said, I think it's important. I don't have a beef with anyone. I don't. I think it's important to have dialogue, and I think it's important to be transparent. And I think it's important at this point to identify things that I see that are misinformation about my case and use the record to make those corrections. Because do I expect people to know about my case in detail, in depth? No, I don't. But things that are, very important that I see or hear that I think needs correcting or at least brought to, light, then I'll do that. And I want to do it in a way that is respectful. Okay. Again, I think just that alone, what I've showed you from the case, that should help to clear up some of the repeated confusion about this, the counts. All right. I read it straight from the pleadings and or public docket. Okay. I just talked about some of the claims that were dismissed. At some point later, I will show them, to be real specific on the record. All right. But the misinformation that I've heard over, period of time, not just tonight. This is, and not by just one person. I ask a specific question to Magic, all right? But I'm just talking about misinformation right now. And one of those points was some claims were dismissed, so the case is basically over. That's wrong. Dismissal of some claims or motions does not equal dismissal of the case. The litigation can often narrow issues without ending that action. Right now, there is in front of the judge ECF 77 by the defendant to dismiss this case. And also, there have been subsequent filings. All right. New filings. Yes. Information that can impact this case, depending on how the judge rules on it. All right. So, again, parts of the case or parts of motions have been ruled on at different stages. This is normal for federal litigation, but the case itself is still active. No final judgment has been entered, nor have I said that I've won. Okay? Nor have I said that I've lost. I've just stated where we are. And with this new, where things stand, we're waiting to see how the judge responds to what is going on now as what I think is going on. Okay. Another misinformation, perhaps. Nothing else matters except copyright registration. No, I don't think so. The case involves, like I said, identity, disclosure, jurisdiction, compliance with the court orders, all of these things, threshold things that we are dealing with, still procedural issues independent of copyright registration, which the copyright registration was not approved for that specific frame picture that was submitted for copyright. That's one. I want to frame it correctly or say it correctly. Because I'm not looking at the letter. Let's see. Go to my hang on. Just gonna pull something up. Mhm. So the application that I submitted for copyright for registration, it was refused. Okay. The image that I submitted. Okay. And I'll leave it at that. And now let me put this back up. The court is aware of that. There have been multiple filings. And at some point, I will read those as well because I think they're important. All right. And there are rules. There are rules about that as well. Okay. So now let me quickly look at the chat and then I'm going to read count one. All right. It is 11:11. So I'm keeping track of the time and I'm looking at some notes as well. All right. Let's just check everything. We're good. Thank you. Mhm. Doing great. Thank you. All comments and opinions of the chat are allegedly. Yes. And again, everyone is welcome um, to this platform as long as the comments are respectful. I can have a dialogue with anyone. I can. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Throw that up real quick. All right. So now let's take a look at copyright infringement and what I filed. Let's go back here. We're going to start with count one. Copyright infringement. On or around April 11th, 2024, defendant Daniel Robertson unlawfully obtained and used copyrighted images and video testimony of the plaintiff, Sabrina Evans. These materials, created on April 9th, 2024, during a closed hearing on Petition for Personal Protection Order, PPO, in Wayne County's 3rd Judicial Circuit, are protected under the Copyright Act of 1976. Facts supporting the claims. Ownership. The plaintiff owns the copyright to her personal image, likeness, and video testimony depicted during the hearing. These materials were fixed in a tangible medium during the proceedings, and copyright protection was automatically conferred upon creation under 17 USC 102. The plaintiff retains exclusive rights to these works, including reproduction, distribution, and public display. Exhibit A. I have already told you what the response to the image that I submitted to the Copyright Office for registration. All right. There was a refusal. There are rounds that I can take, but I'm not prepared to get into that right now. All right. I am going to be transparent because things are on the record. All right. I continue. This is all under copyright infringement. This is the count, how I wrote it. Unlawful acquisition. Listen carefully. The defendant conspired, this is what I wrote, with the PPO petitioner to unlawfully record or access the private court hearing. The PPO petitioner either directly provided the unlawfully recorded content to the defendant or facilitated real-time access via phone. I said phone. Exhibit B. Unauthorized use and distribution. On April the 11th, the defendant publicly disseminated portions of the recorded content during multiple live broadcasts on her YouTube channel. Specifically, the defendant shared details of the confidential PPO hearing during a live broadcast titled Black Tea Sector, Teddy Bundy, The Real Tea, April 9th, Exhibit C. The defendant altered the background of the image depicting the plaintiff during her closed hearing testimony without modifying the plaintiff's actual likeness or appearance, and subsequently published the altered image in a monetized YouTube video, falsely claiming that these changes constitute fair use and transformation of the original work. Exhibit D. The defendant created and disseminated explicit deep fake pornographic content using the plaintiff's likeness on ican't.com and YouTube channel Unhinged with Bundy. Exhibits E and F. I should say also, in those counts 1 through 6, inside of those counts was the deep fake pornography creation. That was dismissed because the magistrate judge could not see the link of those to jurisdiction. I'm not going to argue, but I have submitted new information that will support that the deep fake pornographic count, or that portion of it, I'm arguing now that it should be considered to be part of this case. Okay. Not going to go into the arguments and how this came about, but it's in there. And this is really important. And this is why the defendant is arguing now. All right. This case is deeper than just copyright. People that put things up in the comments and said, oh, this case is frivolous, this case is just copyright, they haven't read the case. Okay. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm just giving what's the case is about and what I brought. All right. Next, this is all under copyright infringement. And by the way, I'm sure you listened to that carefully. So that picture, it was obtained unlawfully because that was a closed hearing and it was stated that picture got out. It didn't magically get out. Okay. Again, I'm not going to argue. I have my arguments in subsequent filings, recent filings. Okay. And the conspiracy part was dismissed because there was, I didn't show meeting of the minds, it's called. Prove the meetings of the mind, because conspiracy has to be two people. And there's, a legal argument. All right. But again, I've presented some new information. And we're going to see. And maybe that could, I'm not going to speculate on why a person isn't showing up right now. I'm not. Okay, let me continue. Exploitation. The defendant used the copyrighted material to humiliate plaintiff, harm her reputation, and cause emotional distress. The defendant also profited from these actions through monetization on social media platforms. Exhibit G. Additional information relief requested. An injunction prohibiting the defendant from further use or dissemination of the plaintiff's copyrighted materials. Statutory or actual damages, including profits derived from the infringement, attorney's fees and costs, compensatory damage for emotional distress caused by dissemination of explicit deepfake pornography, any additional relief deemed by the court. Okay. And I will leave count 2 for next time. But that's count 1. And I'll say this. We wouldn't be talking about that specific image if it hadn't found its way outside of the PPO, private hearing, and it was stated it's unlawfully obtained. It's not supposed to get out. That's count 1. So Again, characterizing my case, it's anyone's opinion. Characterizing my case as the weakest or a weak case. I'm just curious. What are you basing that on? I really want to know. I'm just kind of curious. Yeah. But you're not a lawyer, and neither am I. And everybody has an opinion, and we will see. But on the merits of the case, a judge, this is a process. And we haven't even gotten into. Let's not forget the judge, district judge, had moved forward. Cyber bullying, harassment, defamation, the police reports, the contacts into Michigan, to the medical board, the people that I see putting things into chat, they haven't a clue what the case is about. And so then the misinformation that's getting out there is being, said. And people are going to say things. So I just thought I'd come over here. This is my platform. And for those that want to now actually hear what was filed on record, I'm going to share that with you. This is the first time I'm doing it. I have not done it. Yeah. Again, I don't know how the case is going to, I don't know the outcome. And I appreciate the conversation about my case. I appreciate the interest in the case. I think it's important to get the facts right. Yeah, that's all. And people are going to talk about it. They're going to have their opinions. I can't stop that. Misinformation? Yeah, I can speak on that. Yeah. And people can keep misinforming. But at least I need to do my due diligence to correct the record because this is my case. And I think when I've talked about other people's cases and or their complaints or anything like that, I've been respectful and I've stuck with the facts. And I haven't disrespected their ability to pursue justice for themselves. Because what everyone has experienced, they have experienced it. And we're talking about the same individual at the center of all of this. Yeah. And no, this is not a contest. We're going to throw this up. So then this can be clear. This is not a contest between creators. No. It's not going to be, oh, you get first prize, you get second prize. You know, you know, you win gold, silver, and bronze, or not. No, no. I'm not trying to do something to undercut any other person in their pursuit. Not me, not here. And let me tell you something. The defendant is listening now, right now, or her people. And she has listened in the past. And what she does and what she has already done, just so you know, mhm, Maggie and anybody else, I can call everybody else's name, but I'm going to just call one tonight. I'll call others. She has taken what you said about the case, played your voice, played your videos, and what you've said about this channel and the expletives about me, and played them to her audience. And then what she can say is, see, and then try to play it off one another. I'm not going to let her, because that will give her what she wants and what we should be focused on. Or maybe I'll just speak for myself. What I'm focused on, because ultimately it will affect everyone else, is the identity of this individual that has been ordered. Because now people talk about it, right? They want it. But I brought it forward to the court, and we might not be talking about it if that wouldn't have happened. So Danielle Robertson, the alias, she can sit back and she can laugh and mock and say, see, see, see. But she's not going to be able to do that with me. No. And what that does, it plants seeds of doubt and confusion. So why not just call it out and, nip it in the bud? Just, you want her to be laughing? You want to give her fuel? You really want to do that? Because at one point, she took your channel. Don't you want to know who did this? Or maybe that doesn't matter. Anybody who has been affected by this individual. Don't you want justice and accountability? Well, if you don't, I do. And right now, I don't see myself as weak, and I don't see my case as weak. No, because right now, today, I'm still standing. And so I'll I asked you that one question. Why not throw out another question to you, Magic? While I'm asking questions. And it's only based on you said this case should have been dismissed months ago. Really? My case should have been dismissed months ago. That's what she played to her audience. On what basis? Not that, as you can see, it's not dismissed. So your opinion didn't really matter. But I really want to know. I'm just curious. Why do you say my case should have been dismissed months ago? I've got a lot of skin in the game. Yes, I do. And I've got receipts. So I just would like to know arbitrarily, maybe you can put, go to your platform because I'm listening. I'm just curious. Why do why do you think it should have been dismissed months ago? Yeah. Because right now, again, I don't know what's going to happen, but we've gone the distance so far. And do you know sometimes cases can move along with or without people that cooperate? It's up to the judge. Yeah. And I think I'm being respectful because I'm not saying anything that's not out there and can't be played. Because I don't think I'm weird. I think I'm purposeful. I think that I've been injured by this individual. I think that I deserve to be heard because dismissing my case wouldn't allow it to be heard. And I want my case to be heard. And so it might be frivolous to some. It might be effing weird and frivolous to others. But you don't know what I've endured because you weren't around Not over here in 2022 or 2021. You didn't have police come to your home 5 times and to your family's house. I don't think she used your image on pornography in the dark of the night and published it all over the website. I don't think she went after your medical license and threatened you for the rest of your life. So if that is what frivolous looks like, that's your opinion. And if that's what you think should have been dismissed months ago, then either you don't know the case, not really, or it's not that personal to you, and that's why it should be dismissed. But for me, I'm fighting for my case and to be heard. And I'm going to fight this to the end. No, there's no weakness over here. And I can be called an old lady. I don't care how many times. But there's a certain way that I carry myself and I do things, and it can be boring, like you said, and like others say, so boring. That's okay. It's my story. It's my boring story. It's who I am. We're all individuals. Mm-hmm. So it's not about separation as a goal. I'm staying focused. I'm in my right mind. I have my health and my strength. And I want closure. We'll get to part 2, maybe tomorrow. I've been on for 1 hour and 8. Respectfully. No cursing, none of that. Just addressing so that we can begin. Yeah. Because right now, Danielle Robertson, she's still anonymous. Unless you want to see her win. By the way, speaking of winning and losing, I think one of the reasons, and I really don't think this is speculation because it's on record, in videos. But as a reminder, Danielle said she always wins. All right. So if she always wins, then her giving her identity to the court, what would that look like? Would that look like winning to her? Think about it. Could that also explain why you won't see that? I think I made that. So it makes sense, at least to me, because she has said it emphatically. Okay. That wouldn't be winning to her. That's not what winning looks like to her. And since she always wins, why would I have expected her to have complied by now? Yeah. I'm still going to watch people. I'm still going to watch people's videos. And everyone's welcome. Yeah. Because if somebody can have, let's move away from this for a minute. Just maybe we'll end it really lightly. If someone can let Queen Tulsa come up onto their platform and play in their face, I know you were trying to hold her back, but Queen Tulsa was playing in your face from the moment she got up on your platform. Just playing in your face. Everybody know Queen Tulsa got sent to disrupt, to come up there and upstage. And what does she want to ask about? You just shut her down. And talk about, that's all that was. It was a stunt and stunt, a distraction. Did you see how she answered one of the questions when you asked her? And what did she do? She looked up and then she looked to the left and to the right. That means she was thinking. She's trying to make up a story. Oh yeah, there were people. And there were, yeah, kind of like a meeting, or yeah, like a what was it, a preview of some kind of movie or something. Somebody sent a car with a bag in it and gave her a raccoon hat to wear. Isn't that what she said it was? Was it a raccoon? Come on. She played in your face. But you said you didn't like her either. Yeah. She played in your face. You see, people like her, they don't come over here and come up on my platform and play. Because, see, they might come with something different. Like, yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, did she really attend a function? Please. You believe that? Maybe she did. She said she was out in California. So maybe they do know each other. Maybe she knows her name in her NDA. I don't know. But you see how she avoided that. You see, when she was asked that question, she skated around it. No, she just she just ignored it and went on to something else and then turned left and right, you know. And then when she kind of laughed and been all right, I'm like, she is in a garage. I didn't know that. That was a garage, right? I mean, I don't know if YouTube or if StreamYard has a garage as a backdrop, but I could see, like, you could tell from the ceiling, when your garage door opens. Yeah, somebody said, there was like some things in the back. I said, that is a garage. Before somebody said it was a garage. Yeah. I mean, that's okay if you can broadcast from a garage. People take garages and they turn them into just fabulous, little places. Yeah. And so you could renovate your garage, Queen Tulsa. You could even get one of those floors put down, and a new garage door. Yeah, insulated. But I don't know if you need insulation out there in California. Yeah. Yeah. I could tell that one wasn't insulated. But anyway, but that's okay. I thought I did think there was a funny comment somebody said, and it had to do with you're wearing a fur hat. They couldn't tell if you were hot or cold. So, but oh well. So let me read your comments and then we're going to say goodnight. Should I have left that part? Well, it's out there now. And, it's address one and done. That's it. Queen Tulsa banished. So now we can have a little fun. Banished to the garage. Yeah. Tulsa says DR made her sign, and NDO. Okay. NDA. Okay. NDA. Yeah. Since Tulsa likes to have so much fun. Yeah, she said she saved her life or something. And Maggie said saved her life. Oh, what's real and what's not. Yes, a distraction. Teddy, that thanks. So we're having a little fun at the end here. Okay. No, she didn't. It's just running a lie. A fax is giving she can be bought. Played, whatever. Not the raccoon hat. I couldn't tell what kind of fur it is. It kind of, maybe, yeah. I mean, people. No, wait a minute. They have raccoon fur. Yeah. If you want to find one. I don't think it was mink, but maybe it was. Let's see. As long as it keeps her warm, yeah. Yeah. A person here in Michigan would take, a hat in the cold weather if they could find one. Yeah. There's all kind of hats being sold here. Winning, yes, winning is relative. Yes. Disappointed in Maggie. Well, I would say this, a person could just say, she just speaks her mind. Yeah. And so tonight I spoke mine. Tastefully, I think. How many times did I hire an attorney? Actually, I did have one on retainer, and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars were spent. Thousands were spent just on that PPO in preparation and being there. Yeah. And she couldn't, the defendant still continues to talk about mutual combat, mutual contact, and put it in a recent filing. Her most recent filing. Something about mutual contact. The judge said it was denied. She can't, no. It's so personal for her. Yeah. Uh-huh. Dismissed there is poly months ago. Wow, yes. That's why I just gave her two questions. I would just really like to know, why would my case have been, why do you think my case should have been dismissed? Because maybe I can learn something. Maybe she'll, yeah, there's always something you can learn. And yeah. And why do you think my case is weak? Maybe that's all in the same explanation. I don't know. But yeah, if you care to, can you expound? Yeah. Um, because we might learn something. Let's see. Yes, there are some of us in this chat that have been here for years. It has been a literary and so painful watching these things happening to Teddy. Maggie, you have no idea. Mm. A lot of people. That's why I don't minimize it. A lot of people have been affected. A lot of people. A lot. Yeah, cups, tails, here. We can just go through the list. Not tonight. And there are even people that have converted and to revengers, I will call them. They were doxxed, but they're still there. And they say they love her. Yeah. Okay. To each his own. I want justice, Sharon says, for all creators, and I also will never compare them. They have one thing in common. That's all I've said. That's what we have in common, the common denominator. That is true. Everything else is an individual experience. It is. Yeah. Um, yeah. We can all learn, um, all of us, from one another. Why minimize your experience? In your case, you have a right to speak on yours. Everyone else does. Yeah. 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 Why not? People need to work together instead of working against one another for the same goal. Yeah. This is not a contest. Mhm. Yeah. We will all learn one day. And maybe something will surprise us. Let's see. We've got Melissa 37. Um, yeah. All right. Charisse, my moderators. It's just about midnight. It's time to wrap this up. Um, yeah. Tomorrow will be Friday. Let's see what happens. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the grizzlies and the honey bears. And if you're an owl watching, you are welcome here. Whatever you are, wherever you are tonight, in the bushes, in the bear cave, um, you're welcome. Um, yeah, thank you. And Vila, thank you. Yeah, people go where they want. I don't tell people where to go. I just, I just know where I'm. I said I know where I'm going. I'm focused tonight. Okay. We'll continue with this part, count two, and we'll go through them. And maybe after I go through them, people will see what this case is about. All right. That's going to do it for me. Please hit the like on your way out. Email me at unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. But now it's time to say goodnight because it's midnight. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.